Today's story is about a Chinese female college student named Yangjie Li met a tragic fate because of a demon she happened to encounter during her study abroad in Germany. On May 12, 2016, students at Anhalt University of Applied Sciences in Dessau-Roßlau, Germany went to school for morning classes. The city was a beautiful and quiet place famous for art and architecture. It attracted a significant number of Chinese international students, with over 800 of them studying in Dessau-Roßlau that year. On this day, as usual, the students went to school to attend their classes. However, a student made a report to the police when their friend was absent from school and didn't answer their calls. After her disappearance, the German police deployed hundreds of police officers throughout the city to locate the student. Concurrently, numerous Chinese individuals took to social media like WeChat to share messages about the missing student. Additionally, local Chinese residents reached out to the Chinese embassy in Berlin, reporting the student's disappearance and seeking assistance. The person the police were searching for was Yangjie Li, a 25-year-old Chinese international student pursuing a master's degree in architecture at Anhalt University of Applied Sciences. Her roommate stated that she had gone out for a run the night before and had not returned to their dormitory. The next day, on May 13, 2016, young Jay Lee's body was found under a large pine tree in the bushes in the village. She was discovered less than 300 meters away from her apartment, and all her belongings, including her clothes, cell phone, and apartment keys, were missing. The police believed that she was killed elsewhere, and her body was moved to this location. They made every effort to find the crime scene and the culprit. Signs of a severe struggle with someone were found on her body at the time of the incident. Fortunately, police was able to secure the DNA of a suspect from her body. Yangjie Li was born on September 9, 1990, in Henan Province, China. She was born as an illegitimate child and grew up in a harmonious family with her mother and father, who worked as a police officer. After graduating from high school, she entered Henan University of Science and Technology to major in civil engineering, but she wanted to study architecture more in depth. Fortunately, she had the opportunity to enroll in the graduate program in architecture at Anhalt University in Germany, after receiving a good score in an interview with a professor of architecture from Anhalt University who was visiting China to find outstanding students. Her parents had saved money for this situation, and thanks to them, she was able to embark on her study abroad journey in Germany in 2015. Lee left her parents, who had taken care of her all her life, with a heavy heart to pursue her dream of designing her own house, which she had hoped for since she was a child. Although it was difficult and sad to say goodbye to her parents, they knew how much she loved them and promised to keep in touch frequently as she headed to Germany. Upon arriving in Germany, Lee adapted well to her life as a foreign student, despite leaving her home country. She lived in an apartment with her Chinese friends in Dessau-Roßlau, where many Chinese students resided, and encouraged each other to study hard. She surprised everyone with her excellent academic performance and was able to graduate earlier than her peers, receiving a master's degree in architecture in May 2016. Despite her busy schedule, Lee enjoyed exercising and went for a run every evening, believing that consistent health management would lead to academic success. On May 11, 2016, after finishing all her tasks, she changed into her running clothes to go for her usual run at 8:30 p.m. She told her roommate that she would be back after her run and put on her headphones to listen to music as she went outside. However, this was the last time anyone saw her, and she never returned. After her friends and roommate noticed that she didn't return to their apartment, they called her phone multiple times, but she didn't answer. Eventually, they went out of the apartment complex calling her name, but they couldn't find her. The next morning on May 12, 2016, her friends reported to the school that she didn't come back home the day before, and the school immediately reported her missing to the police. Due to the statements of her friends who said that Lee had never left overnight while studying abroad, the police judged that her disappearance was not simply a runaway case. Immediately, the police began investigating, and the news of her disappearance spread quickly. The Chinese embassy and diplomats in Germany widely publicized her disappearance to help find her. At the time, helicopters, cameras, and detection dogs were mobilized to search the area around the jogging route she usually took. The police called her cell phone. Surprisingly, a man answered the phone but hung up without saying anything, and shortly after, the phone was completely turned off. The police determined that this was not a simple missing person case. Lee's parents also received the news that their only daughter had gone missing. Unfortunately, on May 13, 2016, around 11 a.m., the police found her body less than 300 meters away from her apartment. Numerous students who resided in the same apartment building were horrified when her body was discovered. This terrible incident that occurred in the quiet and peaceful town shocked Germans and Chinese alike. On May 18, 2016, more than 600 Chinese students residing in Germany held a rally to mourn Lee's death and warned that the perpetrator would pay for the crime. The Chinese embassy in Berlin warned Chinese students not to walk alone at night. Some Chinese students were shocked by the incident and returned to their home country. Upon hearing the news of their daughter's death, her parents immediately departed for Germany. Her father, who was a police officer, asked for assistance in the investigation and requested to be taken to the location where his daughter's body was found. Initially, he had complete trust in the German police, but he became dissatisfied with their slow investigation. He was convinced that the incident had occurred near the location where the body was found and requested an investigation of nearby buildings. Strangely, the police were not actively investigating at the time. On May 23, 2016, a man entered the police station appearing nervous and looked around. The police station staff recognized him as Sebastian Flesch, a 22-year-old man whose mother was a local police officer and whose new stepfather was the police station chief. At the time, everyone in the police station knew Sebastian as the son of a police couple. When he said he had something to say about Lee, who had been found dead, the police staff were curious. Sebastian claimed that he had met her the night before she disappeared and that the DNA found on her body could be his. He also mentioned that his fiancée, 21-year-old Zania Lang, had brought a woman back to their house for consensual sex after jogging that evening, and his DNA could have been left on her. Sebastian voluntarily stated that all activities and relationships ended when Lee left her house. He claimed to have no knowledge of her whereabouts or any relation to her death, but came to the police station to help clear suspicion of his DNA found on her body. He emphasized that he was not trying to confess to any crime. The police immediately arrested Sebastian for his unbelievable statement and began searching for his fiancée, Zania. They interrogated Zania as well, and she confirmed Sebastian's statement. The police searched the apartment where Sebastian and Zania lived together, which was located in the building opposite Lee's apartment where her body was found. Lee's father was convinced that Sebastian was a suspect and claimed that his house was the scene of the crime. However, the police did not thoroughly search Sebastian's apartment and only wasted time without finding any conclusive evidence. Eventually, Lee's parents hired a private investigator to investigate their daughter's case separately. Her father believed that fair investigation was impossible because both Sebastian's mother and stepfather were police officers at the time. However, it was Sebastian's mother who actually investigated her son's apartment after the incident, finding out that Sebastian and his mother talked on the phone 10 times a day. Due to public pressure, German police transferred the investigation of Lee's case to another jurisdiction. On June 5, 2016, Lee's funeral was held. The day after her funeral, Sebastian's mother and her husband both took sick leave and did not show up at the police station. Instead, they opened a restaurant and had a grand opening party while taking a break. They were criticized for holding a celebratory event while people were mourning Lee, but the couple made an excuse, claiming that the event had been planned beforehand. However, it was difficult for people to understand why they would hold a grand opening party in such a situation. Eventually, the couple who had caused public outrage were immediately dismissed. On June 8, 2016, the prosecution began an investigation into suspicions that the couple had been involved in Sebastian's case. However, their claim that they did not help cover up their son's crime was accepted, and they received no charges. As soon as Lee's case was transferred to another police station, the investigation picked up speed. The police thoroughly searched Sebastian's apartment and found Lee's blood in a vacant unit on the first floor. Later, Sebastian's DNA was found on her body, and the police finally arrested him as a prime suspect. Furthermore, the police were able to secure CCTV footage of the night of the incident, which showed Zania and Lee meeting in front of Sebastian's apartment. The CCTV footage showed Zania lingering at the entrance to her apartment, and when Lee appeared running, Zania immediately approached her and made a gesture asking for help. After hesitating for a moment, she followed Zania into Sebastian's apartment, and that was the last time she was seen alive. After viewing the CCTV footage, the police were convinced that Zania was an accomplice. Further investigation revealed that Sebastian had called his mother the day before going to the police station and told her about his relationship with the Chinese woman who had been on the news. His mother told him to go to the police station and tell them what she had told him to say. She did not report it to her superiors and attempted to cover up the incident by remaining silent. On November 25, 2016, the trial began. Sebastian and Zania continued to plead not guilty and did not admit to anything. They remained silent and their trial could not proceed smoothly. 2 months later, Zania suddenly broke her silence and began to testify. Zania had a difficult life as a child, having been abandoned by her parents and struggled to make a living. At a young age, she had a boyfriend who left her and their child. She then met Sebastian, who was kind to her, and she fell in love with him. However, Sebastian's true nature was very different from what she initially saw. He was violent and domineering, threatening to leave her whenever she did not please him, and she felt she had no choice but to obey him. No matter what demands he made, she had to comply. She asked Sebastian's mother for help, but Sebastian's mother said that all of Sebastian's wrongdoing was her fault. She gave up and blindly obeyed Sebastian's words. On the day of the incident, Sebastian went outside and told Zania to bring a girl home. He threatened to leave the house if she didn't bring the girl back with her. She desperately wished for anyone to pass by on the street as she left the apartment. At that moment, Lee was running by, and Zania called out to her for help. Zania asked Lee to help her move a box in the apartment, and after hesitating for a moment, Lee agreed and went into the room where Sebastian was with Zania. As soon as Lee entered the apartment, Sebastian attacked and raped her. Zania thought Sebastian would spare her life, but he didn't. Zania and Sebastian disposed of Lee's body near the apartment. Based on Zania's testimony, the prosecutor pressured Sebastian, but he didn't say anything. On August 4, 2017, the court sentenced Sebastian to life in prison and Zania to 5 years and 6 months. Sebastian still claims his innocence and appealed, but it was rejected. Lee's parents took her body back to their hometown. Her dream of becoming an architect who designs houses, which she came to Germany alone to study for, was not realized.